Hi everyone, I'm Wendy, and today I'm showing you how my mom makes her 100% whole wheat bread. You all have been asking for it, and I'm starting to think that my mom is the one who should have a YouTube channel. Anyway, all of the details will be in the description box below the video. My mom uses the same method to make bread, breadsticks, rolls, and she uses different combinations of whole grain flours, but all of those details will be in the blog post linked below. So let's get right into the method. My mom starts out by warming up 2 cups of water in the microwave. She microwaves it for 60 seconds, and hers is 1,000 watts. You want to make sure the water is warm, but not so hot that it'll kill the yeast. Once the water is warm, we add about a tablespoon of active dry yeast. My mom buys it in jars, so she simply measures it out, but if you buy it in the little packets, you could just use 1 packet. It's about the same amount. As soon as you drop the yeast in the water, it'll start to bubble. And you'll let this sit for about 15 minutes. Next, we'll add our flour to our mixing bowl. You can use 4 cups of a whole wheat flour. Today, my mom used a combination of 2 kinds. She used 1 cup of a whole spelt flour, which is just a specific type of wheat, and then 3 cups of a stone ground whole wheat flour. You could also mix in other types of whole grain flours. We like to add a little bit of rye flour as well. It usually works best with either all whole wheat flour or a combination of 2. Next, she's adding 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed and whisking that together to fully combine the flour and the flaxseed. Then you'll want to make a little bit of a well in the center of the flour, which is where we'll add our mixture of water and yeast. Speaking of, let's take a look at how that water and yeast is looking now. At this point, once the yeast has been proofed, it's time to add a little bit of date syrup. The date syrup helps to feed the yeast. So my mom's adding 1 tablespoon, and since the date syrup has a dark brown color, it's going to turn the mixture brown. And then you'll simply add this to the flour, mix it around, cover, and let it sit for about an hour. This is a no-knead bread, so all you have to do is mix it until everything is well combined and form it into a ball. If you'd like, you can simply cover it with a tea towel, but my mom likes to use plastic wrap. This helps to keep a little more moisture into the bread. As you can see, when she puts it on, it already has steamed up the bottom of that plastic. It's best to keep this in a warm spot. We like to just set it on the stove while we're cooking other things. In a pinch, you could also put it on top of a heating pad, although my mom says that sometimes this is actually a little bit too much heat on the bottom of the dough. So if you have a warm oven, it's best just to set it there. After about an hour, the dough will be about double in volume. And at this point, you can form it and bake it. This is where you can decide if you want to make 1 large loaf, 2 or 3 small loaves, or maybe just breadsticks or rolls. No matter how you decide to form the dough, you'll want some extra flour nearby for your hands and to sprinkle over the dough to prevent it from sticking. Here we're showing you how to form a single loaf. My mom's simply taking all of the dough out and putting it on a pizza stone with some parchment paper. You could also put the dough in a casserole dish or a loaf pan lined with parchment paper, and this will help form the dough in any particular shape you like. If you're doing it on a pizza stone like my mom is, it'll take its own shape. Depending on the weather, it may rise more or it may spread out more. And then this part is optional, but once the loaf is formed, my mom likes to cut slits across the dough. If you wanted to get fancy, you could do other designs, or you can just leave this out altogether. After forming the dough, my mom usually lets it sit a little bit longer now to rise some more. On this day, the weather was really humid and rainy, and that really does affect the bread. So this time, the bread ended up spreading out quite a bit instead of rising. But it doesn't really matter because the flavor and the texture is still delicious. We bake the loaf at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 to 40 minutes. You'll want to make sure that the crust is nice and browned to ensure that the bread is fully cooked. Most whole grain breads are really dense, but this one comes out rather soft on the inside with a crusty outside. Next, I'll show you how to make rolls. You start the dough exactly the same way. So you'll follow all of the same steps up to allowing the dough to double in size. Then once again, you'll want to have some flour nearby for your hands and the dough. And to make rolls, you'll simply pinch off pieces of the dough in whatever size you'd like to make the rolls, and then roll them around. And again, you can either add them to a casserole dish or on a pizza stone with parchment paper. You definitely want to use parchment paper with this bread. Since we aren't using any kind of butter or oil, it will stick if you leave out the parchment paper. Here we're making the rolls in a casserole dish. So my mom's lining them up. This time my mom is just cutting an X across each roll. Sometimes we do this and sometimes we don't. Again, it's just for decoration, but it doesn't really affect the quality of the bread. And then once again, we're going to let this rise for a little bit before we bake it. If you make the rolls in a casserole dish like this, once they rise, they will bump into each other, but when you bake them, you can break them apart. For the rolls, again, you'll bake at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 to 30 minutes. Once again, you'll want to check the bottom to make sure it's nice and browned. Be careful with this step because of course everything is hot. So my mom uses some oven mitts to help lift it out so she can take a look at the bottom. Then whether you're making a loaf or rolls, if you've done it in a dish like this, you'll want to take it out and put it on a cooling rack. If you leave it in the casserole dish, it'll get soggy on the bottom. So as soon as it's done baking, you can take it out to put it on that cooling rack. And then once it's cool, like I said, you can break these apart and they're ready to eat. If you decided to do the rolls on a pizza stone, you can separate them a little more so that they don't run into each other, and then you just have these nice little rolls. Another option is to make breadsticks. We like to add some extra flavor when we make breadsticks, so we'll sprinkle things like garlic and onion powder, Italian seasonings, and maybe a little nutritional yeast. And once again, you can cut designs on it or you can leave it plain. The possibilities with this bread really are endless. Follow the same method up to the point where you let the dough rise, and then you can make whatever you like. Right now, we're currently working on trying to make cinnamon rolls out of this bread recipe. We just made our first batch and it turned out pretty good, but we think it might need a couple of tweaks. We'll keep working on it, and if you'd like to see the recipe, let me know below, and I can definitely share that. Don't forget to like this video to show my mom's bread recipe some love. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.